Hello and welcome to this week's track guide on France. My name is Fraser, and first of all, some quick facts about France. We have 15 corners, 2 DRS zones, 1 on the start finish straight and 1 after turn 7. The DRS detection zone for the start finish is just before turn 14, and the detection zone for the straight after turn 7 is in turn 7 itself. Then the tires C4, C3, C2. So that will put us on a strategy of maybe soft to hard, soft to medium. If you want to pit like for soft to medium to work, you need to pit around lap 10 from the softs onto the mediums, but I don't recommend doing that. Soft to hard is a bit better, especially since hards are not that prone to getting overheated. For alternative, you can go medium to soft or hard to soft, as we saw Jano Opmel do it in PSGL, I believe. Um, so yeah, first of all, the rain likeness is also quite high, so try to do a couple of laps on the wet preset in time trial just to get a feel of the track when it's wet. So next I'm going to show you, or like I'm going to talk you through the hot lap, and after that the setup, and at the end I'm going to show you the hot lap on its own. Okay, then before we start the lap, obviously you would want to take a bit of a more wider line out of the last corner when you're starting the lap, so you can get your car straight just before the apex of the last corner, and since the last corner is a bit elevated, it makes it easier to build up some speed. So then, starting the lap, opening up the DRS, coming down to turn 1. Turn 1, you will want to watch out for the right hand side. There is this red and white curb after the escape road right here. As soon as the red and white curb starts, that is your braking point or like brake marker. And as soon as the red and white curb goes up to this white line right here, that is your turning point. So brake, turn in, cut as much of turn 1 as possible. You can even go as far as that yellow pylon thingy. Don't be afraid to run over this yellow sausage curb on the inside. This is also dropping down, so on the inside you have the most grip because it's on camber. Then, as you're going uphill, very easy to lose the rear right here because we are going uphill. The most of the weight is on the rear axle, so just be mindful of that. Then cut as much of turn 2 as well. Though I found that you can probably do it flat. Pro players or like pro esports drivers can do it flat, but I found it more consistent to kind of lift off as soon as you reach the elevated part of this red and white curve right here. See, as in game, you're going to see it very well. It's like kind of riffled, kind of elevated. The second part of this curve. If you don't lift off when you reach that, you tend to oversteer quite a lot. So try to just see with how much lift you can get away with right there. As soon as you pass the yellow pylon on the inside for turn 2, you are going to immediately floor it. Here, don't steer too much as to not scrub off any speed. Then 50-meter board, just before the 50-meter board, we want to start braking. 50-meter board is also your turning point. Again, cut as much as possible, go as close to the yellow pylon as you can. Then um, for the next left-hander, try to get very close to the yellow sausage curbs and stay close to the like rain gutter on the second part of the curb. You can again see that the first part, the right-hand side part of the curb, is kind of elevated, whilst the left-hand side, where the rain gutter is kind of the same as the track. So it's like flat. So you can power through the corner much easier, and it's much easier to keep the left-hand side wheel on this rain gutter part of the curb. Then for the right-hander, after you have gone through the long left-hander of turn 4, you want to throw the car a lot to the left so that you are going to go for a bit of a better entry angle so you get the car more straight earlier. Then as you turn into the right, get as close to the yellow sausage curbs on the inside. Then on the exit, again, very difficult corner because it's like dropping down and then up again. So in the initial part of the corner, you're going to have a lot more front grip because you have the drop down section, so more weight on the fronts. Then as you are coming out of the corner, or like in the middle of the corner, you can see that it's going uphill, so you have more weight on the rear axle. It's way easier to lose it, especially in the race. If you have overheated tires on the softs, for example, it's quite bad around here. And then as you're coming out of the corner on the exit, you would want to focus on a constant power delivery, just so you don't upset the car. You can ride the red and white curb as I did right here. Again, the tarmac and the second part, the left-hand side part of the red and white curb, is kind of level. The red and white curb that starts next to the track or is just beyond the white line is, again, you can see it in game, is at a angle, at an upwards angle. So it's going to be harder to get that car really put down, like get the throttle put down and not spin out. Then try to stay a bit to the left. For this corner, this is the thing you can probably only do for the for the time trial lap. For qualifying, you're probably going to have a bit of overheated tires at this point. Is just throw the car in here with a lot of throttle. It's kind of like almost drifting the car, but not actually drifting the car. Again, you can see the track drops down, so you have a lot of weight on the front tires and a lot of grip. Then clip the inside curb just slightly. Don't take too much of that. That's going to unsettle your car. And as you're going on the exit, very easy to lose the car. As again, we're going uphill. More weight on the rear axle means that it's easier to spin out. Yeah, so the track goes up. You need to be very careful, especially in the race, since you have overheated tires. Then as you are coming to right here, that's when the track is level again. About right there. And you can go as far as the right hand, like the left hand side wheel beyond this white line, just so you have a bit more of a consistent exit. Then onto the straight. Left-handed, don't steer too much as to not scrub off any speed. That's going to be the main theme for the corner after the chicane. Then the chicane, very tricky corner to get right, because the curb is kind of weird, and the amount of amount of curb you need to cut for this one is quite big. Then red and white curb, as that starts, immediately brake. Then about like when the 50-meter board is going, like vanishing on your screen, that is the turning point. Cut a lot, a lot. You can probably cut a bit more than I did right here. For the first part of the chicane, you can see the yellow pylon thingy immediately like destroyed. That is going to be the case in qualifying. Try to aim left-hand side wheel for this tarmac triangle right there, or like this yellow sausage curb if you can't see the pylon. Then, as soon as you are past that curb, the right-hand side, if that like escape road ends, the red and white curb, that is your turning point for the next corner, and as well your brake marker for the next part of the chicane. Very important is to really mount that curb. The right-hand side wheel needs to be on the white line on the right-hand side, very close to the yellow sausage curbs. Then, as you are accelerating out of the corner, again, the track is kind of going uphill right here, so it's easy to lose the rear, especially when you come out of onto this curb, because again, the curb is going up before the rain gutter and after the rain gutter. Beyond the rain gutter, the curb is again just completely flat. So take that in mind. So when you're accelerating, try to have the left-hand side, like left-hand side of your car on this like rain gutter on the curb. Then coming to the next corner. Now coming to turn 10. Again, try to not to scrub off any speed. I did like scrub off a lot of speed right here. That lost me about 1 or 2 hundredths maybe. Then for turn 11, patience is key. As soon as that red and white curb ends, or like just before that ends, that is your turning point. Then before the red and white curb on the inside ends, you want to start braking. Don't brake 100%, because if you brake 100%, you're going to lock up, especially since, again, we're dropping down right here, which means more weight on the fronts, easier to lock up, especially when you're turning in. So try to keep it at around 75-80% the brake force. You can also go into the setup and minimize the brake power as well, but I would not suggest doing that, or like I would not recommend doing that, because I just suggested you to do that. Back onto turn 11. Just before that red and white curb, about 1 or 2 car lengths ends, 80% brake, then patience, 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 until you feel like you can go, which is, there's really not a good pointer on the track to like tell you when to go. You can probably like think about halfway of that Pirelli, like you can see that this section of Pirelli marketing, or like advertisement boards, you can take that theoretically, which is about like the last 3 Pirellis, just like in the middle of the 4th Pirelli on the left hand side, if you have the spatial awareness. I just, for this part, honestly, just go after the racing line, because it's a bit easier than looking over to the left right there. Then accelerate on the inside, very careful again. You're just like almost every corner on this track, you drop down quite a lot, so a lot of initial turning because of the weight on the front. Then as you are coming out of the corner, very easy to again lose the rear, as you are going to see right there, me counter steering for a slight bit, because we're going uphill yet again. The issue for this like this corner, turn 11, in the context of a race, is you're going to really, really overheat your tires. Sector 3 on this track is going to be the most difficult, or like the most common place for you to lose the car. So try to take it a bit easier in the race, especially if you're in a DRS and you don't need to push 100% through, except for if you are the lead car maybe. But then again, you don't want to overheat your tires too much, as that leads to a lot of wear, so that means you can easily get undercut because you're like too slow on the tire. Then accelerate past the yellow sausage curbs. Try to be a bit conservative on the exit. As soon as you reach the red and white curb, you can completely floor it. Then for turn 12, an off-camber corner, which is very weird to like drive in the game. Off-camber means you like the track is at an angle that like gets you less turn, or like less uh, tire patch onto the circuit, which means less grip. Um, so you are going to need to be very careful with braking again. Uphill section, which is going to be a bit of hell on the exit, but also the overheated tires. You always need to think about the overheated tires on this sector. Going uphill, since it's an off-camber corner, you again need to be very careful with brake application, about 90 to 80% maybe, just so you don't lock up or end in understeer city when you have ABS on. Down to 3rd gear, then go for a really, really late apex, up to 4th gear for the stability. Then as we are coming off the off-camber section, the rears are going to be very toast, so it's easy to lose control of the car right here. Then coming to the last couple of corners, as soon as the striped white line begins right there for turn 14, that is your brake marker and your turning point. As you are braking in, try to do the heavy braking when you're steering it straight. You can also, just to get a bit more braking power, straighten out your steering, go full on the brakes, and then start to like trail brake into the corner of turn 14. Then you can cut a bit of that red and white curb right there. Very careful on the exit, since somehow you're going to lose the rear quite a lot around here. I don't really know why, so I can't really tell you like what to do against it. For the last corner though, as soon as you are seeing that red bit next to the red and white curb, just before that is your brake marker and your turning point. I was a bit too conservative around here. Could have probably been on the accelerator a bit earlier. Again, inside is a bit uncambered, and it's again dropping down a slight bit, and on the exit, as you can see by the racing line, the track is going up, so more weight on rear tires, which means easier to lose the car. coupled with the fact that your tires are super overheated around this time, you need to be very careful on the acceleration. Ideally, you would want to stay on the left as to just not get a bit more distance by going diagonally, which probably gives you like 100s. And that is a lap around France. So concerning the setup, we are running 10.8 wings, transmission 158, front camber to the right, the other ones to the left, suspension 171627, brakes 150, and tires fully inflated. For making it like good for the race, I would suggest you definitely putting down the front tire pressures to around 23.8, 24.1 maybe. The suspension maybe a bit higher on, or not the suspension, the front anti-roll bar a bit higher, maybe 2.6, 2.7, maybe 3.6. Depends on how you feel with the car, and then maybe the front ride height, you would maybe like consider like increasing it because of the curbs. They are quite high, and it's quite easy to lose the car. Suspension geometry, you just probably keep it that way, and the differential, you should probably do a bit of testing on your own. Depends on how much rotation you want in your car. Aerodynamics 10.8 is fine as long as you stay in the DRS chain. Otherwise, I think it's a bit too much wing. You can probably go 9.7, 9.8 if you really want to have that bit of straight line speed compared to the competition. So hopefully you like this track guide. I'm Fraser, and I hope we will see each other on the racetrack.